Okay, now discussion of the proposal from Councilwoman Flowers for a property tax holiday. Your floor is yours.
Thank you. Before I say anything, I'd like to pass this to the town manager and ask him to read it. It's his email to me today. If you don't mind reading that.
Pretty long.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
just get to the point.
We have all the time in the world. You can read, you can get down to the pros and cons, which is the important part, if you wish.
At the last town council meeting held April 23rd, Ms. Flowers suggested that the council consider a property tax holiday for the fiscal year 2009-2010. As I understand it, the purpose of this tax holiday is to provide fiscal relief for 1 year for the property owners of Summerfield during what is considered one of the worst recessions in the last 30 years. Last week, Mrs. Flowers requested that staff further investigate this concept and provide a pro-con list for Tuesday's meeting. I requested that Bill Hill and Dana Luther be prepared for this discussion item. However, it must be stressed that regardless of staff responses provided, this is truly an issue of public policy, not management, and it is inherently a political action by town council. In addition, while staff has provided some of the pros and cons to such a decision, this list should not be considered an all-inclusive list, and there are many issues that may not be addressed. A pro-tax holiday position. Reduction in taxes for 1 year may provide some relief for property owners that have lost jobs or may have less income due to losses in the stock market or real estate. For the owner of a $400,000 property, the tax savings would be $140 a year or 4% of their property tax bill. And what that figures out to be is Guilford County, if their current rate stays the same, would be $2,948. The Summerfield Fire District rate is 8.75 cents, which would be $348, and the town of Summerfield has a 3.5 cent property tax. If that stayed the same next year, that would be $140. It indicates that the town council cares about its citizens by providing this reduction in taxes. And for those that feel that Summerfield should not be charging a property tax under any circumstances, it returns the town to the status quo of pre-2004. Summerfield has a large fund balance, which is essentially savings that could absorb the approximately $445,000 in loss in revenue and have a little effect short-term on the finances of the town. Summerfield would continue to collect sales taxes, approximately $123,000, I'm sorry, I was incorrect on my memo, from Guilford County for fiscal year 2009-2010. But because of the delayed reporting process for allocation of sales tax, I'll address that as a con. On the con side, it assumes the town council will cut the budget to reduce expenses by the $445,000. Due to delays in reporting and payments, the town would not be eligible for the revenue sharing of sales taxes in the fiscal year 2010-2011, regardless of the property tax charge. Now, revenues from other sources may be impacted by the economy, reducing income from all sources, in addition to the no tax revenue. Expenditures for the Summerfield Athletic Park are already being proposed to be paid for through the use of fund balance. Based on final decisions of council regarding the Summerfield Athletic Park, fund balance will be reduced significantly next fiscal year. If council drops tax to zero, then what happens next year if the economy does not recover? What does council do next year? It creates a yo-yo effect for property owners and for town revenue projections. The actual savings to an individual property owner is minimal to the actual dollars saved. The property value at $400,000 would save $140 a year, or $11.66 a month. In addition, local property tax is federal income tax deductible, so any possible savings by not having property tax may be offset by paying a higher federal income tax, because you can't claim it as a deduction. This fiscal year, it appears that Guilford County is going to be charging for animal control and animal shelter, and Their current estimate was $50,000 for fiscal year 09-010, which is an immediate hit on our budget. The development of the comprehensive plan has identified a number of tasks that must be undertaken to implement the plan. The plan of tasks will be approved by council, but ideas that have been discussed include the development of a townwide Parks and Recreation master plan, a groundwater study, rewriting the development ordinance, etc. All these tasks and others yet to be identified will require funding later this year and in future years to implement the adopted plan. The Jordan Lake watershed rules are in the process of being implemented. The rules have been modified to better address concerns from local governments, but there will still be requirements for implementation that will necessitate funding. The state legislature and NCDOT are proposing that funding for secondary roads be transferred to local governments. While the merits of these changes are highly debatable, if implemented, the changes will require Summerfield to begin the process of maintaining a local road system. This will have a significant impact on the town's budget in future years. Based on the changes that have occurred regarding county services and state actions, there are sure to be other actions that directly impact Summerfield's current fund balance in future years by the county and by the state. Fund balance provides a cushion for the unexpected emergencies that can arise and to provide for a method of paying for capital projects without negatively impacting operating budget expenditures and tax rates. The large fund balance has provided an investment return equivalent to more than 3 cents of property taxes for the past 4 years. Significant erosion of the fund balance to pay for yearly operating expenses will impact these investment returns. This will not happen in the first year of a tax holiday, but if kept in place for a couple of years, will impact the safety net and funding source. As stated earlier, the decision to charge a property tax is one of policy, which is rightly decided by town council, not staff. If council chooses to remove or significantly reduce the property tax rate, then it must also adjust its plans for future projects and goals. Staff will develop a budget according to the direction provided by town council.
Thank you.
Can I have one comment? Michael's last item about the investments, that potentially based on the budget this year, we may have to then dip into some of our CDs that are locked into 2012 at 4.64 and above. So that's another potential to add to that con list.
That's fine. I've been asked a dozen or more times how I came up with this tax holiday idea. The idea came from the fact that I see so many people that I know losing their jobs, houses in foreclosure. Some of my friends are not getting an increase in pay this year, they're getting a decrease in pay this year. My church has a very large outreach program. We have a food pantry, and one Sunday a month is dedicated as Food Sunday, and the parishioners are asked to bring non-perishable food items to the church. There's been such a demand for food and such a strain on the food pantry that parishioners are now asked to bring food every Sunday. This affects everyone. Fortunately, the town of Summerfield has $8,600,000 in the bank. I think it's time to let the people of Summerfield keep some of that money. We can operate very well without charging any property taxes for the next fiscal year. It's approximately $445,000 that will be uncollected taxes if we have a zero tax rate. We just made $75,000 a few minutes ago without doing a thing, just by giving Guilford County the right to build that parking lot instead of the town doing it. I asked my fellow council members at the April 23rd meeting to consider a tax holiday. I didn't ask them for any comments at the time. I just asked them to consider it. And I'm going to ask them now if they have considered it and what their opinions are.